What's up everyone, I'm Zage, and given how the anime has covered Oden vs Kaido and the battle with the Scabbards, I think it's important to break down the strength of the Herculean samurai Kozuki Oden. Oden's importance within the Wano arc goes without saying, and that includes his strength, which is actually linked with other characters such as Luffy and Kaido. I think Oden has gone from a bit overrated during the run of his flashback in the manga to very underrated pretty quickly during the raid post the rooftop battle with the Supernova and Yonko. I'm going to be going through Oden's entire journey so I can cover what tier of strength this monster samurai was on. But before we delve into it though, if you're new to the channel or you like content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. In the description is the links to my Twitter, Discord and Twitch, so follow me on Twitter and Twitch and join the Discord. As always, your support is much appreciated. Oden ever since childhood was a Herculean character that was abnormally strong, much like Big Mom in her youth. As early as the age of 10, he's shown wielding two great grade blades, Ami no Habakiri and the alleged cursed Enma. Years later, he grew stronger and got his own following, who became his vassals, also known as the 9 Red Scabbards. With all this, he became the Daimyo of Kuri, so I'll call this stage of Oden's journey as Daimyo Oden. Oden wasn't content with being within the confines of Wano and wanted to explore the world, and he got his chance when the Whitebeard pirates were on the shores of Wano. Whitebeard sensed Oden running towards his crew from a mile away and ordered them to stay back because someone dangerous was approaching them. Even after his crew had got back, Whitebeard says this isn't good moments before clashing with Oden. Obviously Whitebeard isn't going all out here and is clearly suppressed, however to be considered that much of a danger is definitely portraying Oden to be abnormally strong, very strong. For comparison, Luffy in Act 1 of Wano, who had just surpassed Katakuri, wasn't deemed to be any sort of threat to Kaido in the slightest, and if anything was made out to be utter trash, so there's some comparison for you. Oden eventually joins Whitebeard's crew and grows stronger after sailing with them for a few years until they meet the Roger Pirates. I'll label this stage of Oden's journey as Commander Oden. Oden, who was eager to fight, charged headfirst towards the Roger Pirates until he was met with Roger, who used an attack called Divine Departure, which completely overwhelmed Oden, sending him flying. Even though this was a casual attack from Roger, it was still a powerful one as it was an attack coated in Conqueror's Haki. Despite Oden being sent flying, he was able to get back up pretty quickly with not too much damage and question what it is that he was hit with as he ran back towards Roger, which we now know is Conqueror's Haki. This is important as it's from this moment with Roger and witnessing Whitebeard fight that Oden learnt that things can be imbued with Conqueror's Haki. Just to put Commander Oden's strength into perspective, I'll reference Act 1 Luffy again. Against base Kaido, Luffy and Gear 4th got knocked out in one shot, whereas Oden endured a Conqueror's coated attack from Roger pretty well. So at this point, Oden should be comfortably at least a level stronger than Act 1 Luffy, and that's probably downplay. After the battle between the Whitebeard and Roger Pirates, Oden joined Roger for his final voyage, and this is where he truly made most of his gains. The Oden that returns to Wano after this voyage, I'll label as Prime Oden. The narrator says that Oden returned to Wano invincible and triumphant, which also implies that he's reached his peak. All this leads to the monumental Oden vs Kaido. For a fight Oda had hyped up a lot, it was actually met with mixed reviews, and it's also a problem because this fight doesn't help us accurately scale Prime Oden or Kaido at their best. With Kaido, it's self-explanatory as he never used hybrid form, which is his best combat form. For Oden, he was distracted by the old hag who looked like his son Momo, which made him off guard, and Kaido in base knocked him out with an attack from behind. However, a lot of people don't understand that Oden's strength was actually heavily nerfed by his mind state at that moment, which is why Kaido knocked him out so easily. This would take some time to explain thoroughly, so bear with me. One of the first things that Rayleigh taught Luffy was to feel no doubts is true strength. Oden being in a state of doubt and shock when seeing his son would not make him strong according to Rayleigh. A prime example to demonstrate Rayleigh's teachings would be Luffy against CP9 in the Gale-La Mansion. Luffy challenged CP9 in Water 7 as they thought Robin might have betrayed them and joined the agents. Luffy confronted Bruno and attacked him but was easily stopped by Tekai. Bruno then casually dodged a barrage of Luffy's attacks and could easily blitz Luffy. Luffy seemed to be completely outclassed by even a mid-tier CP9 agent, let alone Rob Bellucci himself. However, when Luffy fought Blueno again in Enies Lobby, Luffy could break his Tekai and keep track of his Soru when he couldn't even see Blueno before. Blueno even notes how Luffy wasn't nearly this strong when they fought the first time. So what changed? That change was Luffy's mind state. Back in Water 7, Luffy was conflicted over the situation with Robin and how she seemingly betrayed the crew. This is even shown when Lucci sends Luffy flying and is stuck between buildings, struggling to get free. The same is true for Zoro as well when he was stuck in the chimney, but I'll be continuing to make the point with Luffy, so just note that all this applies to Zoro during this arc as well. When Nami found out the truth about Robin and told Luffy, he was able to muster the strength to break himself free when he couldn't even before, to the point where he was actually destroying the city as he was moving those two buildings. Before this, Iceberg questioned Nami about their ability to save Robin, and Nami says that everyone becomes weak when they have lost their way, when they are unsure. This right here is the clearest example of the mind state of a character can actually directly affect one's overall strength and durability. In Water 7, it was Robin's alleged betrayal that made Luffy and Zoro unsure, which made them weaker. In Oden's case, it was seeing who he thought was his son's life being in danger, which completely distracted him and put him in emotional distress, as a result nerfing his overall strength to an insane degree, allowing Kaido to knock him out easily even in base. I know that was a lot just for a single point, but it really needed to be stressed as a lot of people downplay Oden to absurd degrees because of this when they don't actually understand the weight behind the context. I've seen takes like Oden being weaker than base Kaido because of this moment, even though we see in the raid Yamato and Luffy, who are both narratively portrayed to be weaker than Oden, hold their own and compete against a stronger and hybrid Kaido. So yeah, I had to clear things up. Having said all that, what Oden is most known for in this fight is the scar he left on Kaido in his dragon form, which could be the most durable form or as durable as hybrid, but you can decide that for yourself. I digress. After the battle against the Roger Pirates and the last voyage, Oden learned how to use Advanced Conquerors and infuse his swords with Conqueror's Haki. Advanced Conquerors is a power that only a handful of the strongest Conquerors can use, which is how he had the attack power to perform this feat. This scar was so big and deep that it completely eclipses the combined strength of 4 Scabbards Paradise Totsuka and Zoro's Ashura, which is also a Conqueror's coated attack. Despite Kaido's fast regenerative capabilities due to being an Oni and having a mythical Zoan Dragon Devil fruit, he was still bandaged up for a few days after the wound that Oden had given him, as we see him during execution bandaged up, and a few days after when he meets those samurai in the caves, which was after the execution. So that's just a testament to how powerful Oden's Paradise Totsuka was. When Oden landed the Paradise Totsuka, he not only cut Kaido open but also knocked him to the ground. Kaido might have actually been unconscious momentarily as his body was on the ground and not moving for a little bit, which gave Oden the opening to do his final attack to end the fight. In this moment, after Oden was charging towards Kaido, is when the old hag interfered and Kaido got back up moments after. The anime completely changed the way it went in the manga and made it out to be like Kaido got up straight after being scarred to continue their battle. The anime just completely contradicts the manga, so this is not canon at all and is not credible to use for scaling Kaido or Oden. You can see Kaido's body, just how much damage just a single strong attack from Oden could do, and the time it took for him to get back up adds to Oden's strength. With this, it brings up the topic of Kaido's strength 20 years ago compared to current day. Some things do suggest that Kaido has gotten stronger. For example, Kaido looks bigger now than before, and one of the last things that Oden told Kaido was to build his strength. This could suggest that Kaido did get stronger, but now the question is by how much? We don't know if Kaido was a Yonko 20 years ago, however he was still known as invincible, which is the reputation he has in the current story. I think it's safe to say that Kaido did get stronger, but not that much, as nothing implies a huge jump in strength. We also know that Kaido is 59 years old, which is how old Oden would be if he was still alive. 20 years ago they were both 39, which is the same age as Shanks, and both he and Oden had reached their peak at that age, so it's not likely that Kaido was far off his peak at the same age. We even get a flashback from King with an even younger Kaido as he doesn't have his moustache, and King tells him to continue to be the strongest there is. This doesn't mean that Kaido was the strongest in the world at the time or at his peak strength, but it is likely that Kaido was considered by the world to be relatively close to a top tier. Even though Kaido didn't fight at his best against Oden using all the power we know he has, such as hybrid form and advanced conquerors, it was portrayed that had the old hag not interfered, that he would have lost, meaning Oden at the time was likely the stronger of the two. After Oden's loss, he is sentenced to death by boiling in a pot of oil that reaches up to 700 degrees and higher. Oden, whilst holding up all the scabbards, withstood the execution for an entire hour, which is an insane durability and endurance feat. I mean, watching this, you would think Oden's a Lunarian or something. That's how crazy this feat was. 20 years later, in the current story, Kaido still holds Oden in such high regard. During his fight with Luffy, he wonders how long it's been since someone could fight toe-to-toe against him, likely referring to Oden. This is supported by Kaido's ribbon card, which states, "Ever since Oden, the appearance of a strong enemy gets the heart of a battle enthusiast brimming with excitement." Kaido has fought Big Mom and had a skirmish against the Red Hair Pirates, with a lack of context as to how that interaction went, but it can't be denied that Kaido seems to put Oden on a higher pedestal than them. Now, Kaido actually has an interesting dialogue with the Scabbards after the Paradise Toad Skull was unsuccessful. Kaido tells them that he saw Oden's shadow in their spirit and that he wouldn't mind being killed by them, but they weren't Oden. They weren't even strong enough to open up the old scar, let alone kill him. So Kaido believes he will never see a monster samurai like Oden again. This is some crazy strength portrayal for Oden, as Kaido is suggesting that he believes Oden is actually capable of killing him in his current day self, shown by his disappointment in the Scabbard's failure to do so despite carrying Oden's visage in their spirit. At this point, it should be very clear that Oden is portrayed on the same level as Kaido, and arguably stronger, but that is a lot more contentious. Kaido's dialogue also suggests that Oden is still capable of the same scar and feat even 20 years later, which would add to my earlier point of Kaido only getting a small strength growth over the 20 years, as Oden wouldn't be capable of the same feat had Kaido grown levels stronger than before. When the top 5 Supernova all reach the rooftop to fight the Yonko, Luffy opens the fight with the Red Rock and damages Kaido. This surprises Kaido as Luffy grew so much stronger in such a short amount of time and started to question Luffy's potential, with the faces of Whitebeard, Roger, Rocks, Oden and Shanks representing Luffy's potential ceiling. These 5 shadows do not represent Kaido's top 5 strongest, but rather just represent Luffy's potential. Oden being in the same company as a Yonko and 3 pirates who were the kings of their eras adds to his portrayal as a top tier in this series. Luffy has mastered advanced conquerors and can utilize it with Gear 4th, but Kaido has yet to acknowledge him as someone on the level of those in his shadows, meaning Luffy still didn't reach Oden's level, and it's pretty evident when we saw Luffy go all out in Gear 4th using his mastered advanced conquerors, and he got completely outclassed by Kaido, whereas Oden is narratively portrayed to be able to actually fight Kaido at his best, toe to toe. Currently in the manga, Luffy has become even stronger due to his Devil Fruit awakening, so maybe in the final stretch of the fight against Kaido, he will be acknowledged as someone as great or greater than Oden and the other 4 in the shadows. Oda has definitely gone out of his way to highlight how insanely strong the Herculean Oden is, and his dynamic with Kaido adds to it even more in my opinion. The fact that they are the same age, Kaido's daughter emulates Oden, whereas Oden's son has Kaido's Devil Fruit power, even down to how Oden has had an impact on Kaido, like the respect he has for the way of the samurai, and the honor Kaido seemed to have developed, shown by killing the old hag that interfered in their fight. With all that said, Oden is definitely a top tier in the series, as strong as the Yonko and Admirals, but not on the level of Prime Whitebeard and Roger. His specific placement in the strength hierarchy is hard to say, and he's like a rival-esque to Kaido, so I'll let you guys decide where he ranks and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Oden's journey and life was that of a legend, and as far as his strength is concerned, he was definitely the definition of a monster samurai. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. I've been your host Zage, and until next time.